Howdy, I'm Ziga, and this is the beginning of my Mario Party board analysis series. So this is episode 1. It's going to be pretty good, and we're starting with a real doozy. It's Rainbow Dream for Mario Party 5. Now this one obviously isn't one that, stands out in people's heads. Not a lot of people are like, oh, let's play Rainbow Dream for Mario Party 5. Mario Party 5 being one of the games that doesn't get as much love as, say, 6 or 7 or 4 or 3 or 2. Doesn't get as much love. But Rainbow Dream is a board that I've enjoyed as a kid, and I remembered it, and I thought it looked good, and then I played it again for analysis about four or five times, and I looking at the pros and cons and weighing it out, I think that Mario Party 5 gave us a real good board here, a real good idea of what you can do to certain type of boards and a certain classification to make them good. It does have some shortcomings, but we'll discuss that later. And another preface, the way these videos are going to go is I have a script in front of me, and I'm going to read the script for the intro, as a summary, and then when I go to the scores, I'm just go off the top of the dome. I have my scores there, and I'm basically going to provide insight on why I provided those scores. And I think I've collected an objective classification of this board with some pretty good pros and cons, so hopefully it provides a good classification of Rainbow Dream for all y'all, and eventually you can kind of look at it and decide whether or not you want to play on this board depending on the classifications I provided. So without further ado, let's go into it. Here we go, got our scores, looking good. So let's go into the summary. Rainbow Dream is a rehash of a common theme among Mario Party boards. Similar to boards like Mystery Land from Mario Party 2 and Bowser's Enchanted Inferno of Mario Party 7, it's a relatively larger board for Mario Party 5, consisting of 4 smaller circular subsections with 2 main methods to go from each section. One way involves following the natural direction of the board with your rolls and going from rainbow to rainbow, traveling through the clouds in a counterclockwise order. You can also get to other clouds by landing on one of 4 happening spaces. If you land on the happening space closest to the center of the board on each cloud, you'll nab yourself a gondola ride to a random cloud. If you land on the happening space on the farthest north of the map, you can choose one of 3 rainbow slides to one of the respective clouds, also picking up some delicious coins on the way down. Aside from those 5 happening spaces, there are 3 more, one on the south, west, and east clouds. The happening space on the south cloud rewards you orbs, depending on how well you can mash A within a time frame. The one on the west cloud sends any player on it and the 2 surrounding spaces back to the start of the board, and finally, the one on the east cloud rewards you with up to 20 coins, depending on how well you can time a ground pound. Overall, this board provides a classic Mario Party experience, and while it doesn't provide the most hectic and action-packed games, Rainbow Dream is still a board that can supply turn-by-turn strategic fun. So, there we go. There's a summary. I think it's pretty good. As a whole, we can now kind of discuss and figure out what makes it good, what makes it great, what makes it not so great. So first off, let's get that aesthetic going. So as far as the aesthetic goes, I think the board is generally captivating. I think it's generally good to look at. Looking at the board, you can kind of go, well, that looks nice. It's got a really good eye feel to it. And it actually has a really interesting theme going as well, which sometimes is kind of hard to pick up, which is the idea that every cloud is a type of cloud. You've got a thunder cloud on the south, you've got a rain cloud on the east. On the north, you have a sunny cloud. It's a cloud on a clear day. It's kind of a stretch, but it's still a cloud. And then on the on the east, you have a snow cloud, and then on the west, you have a rain cloud. So, it's thematic. But the theme is kind of subtle, it's kind of hard to detect, and it also doesn't really hop on the rainbow theme as well. It's definitely interesting, it's definitely cutesy, but it's not as cohesive and unifying as a central theme as well. But that's only a minor nitpick. The major nitpick I have about this board is that the soundtrack playing in the background it's this kind of like Mario Party take on Enlightenment era music, and it's not really grating. It's not really like, oh god, this theme, but it's not memorable, and it doesn't really give you any feel. It doesn't really add to the board at all. It just kind of is there. It's white noise, honestly, and so as far as that those are the 2 main flaws of the aesthetic. So pros is that it looks great, and the theme is very clever. But the cons is that it's not as unifying as a general theme as one would like for a board, and also the soundtrack, forgettable and not that good either. So let's move on then. Size. I said it in the summary, I'll say it again. It's kind of in the middle. As far as boards go for Mario Party, Mario Party's 5 through 7, and even 8, I believe. I have a cute little graph here. Yeah. So Mario Party's 5 through 8 generally have the same kind of board size. They like to go to 60s, low 70s, high 50s. There are exceptions, obviously, but generally that's where it is. This board clocks in at 69 spaces. 69 is pretty large for a Mario Party 5 board. I believe it is the second largest Mario Party 5 board. Nope, the third largest. So it's pretty large for Mario Party 5 standards, but as far as boards in general go, Mario Parties 1 through 4 dwarf it, and it's still smaller than other boards in Mario Parties 5, 6, 7, 8 as well. So it does have quite the average size. So it's quite a general size. Now we've got the direction. Now don't let it trick you. It has 4 separate areas, and you'd want to think like, oh, it's like Mystery Land. You can be in either one, teleport around. But in that aspect, it's not. It's a very linear board, and it disguises itself pretty well because it has these 4 subsections. But realistically, unless you get a lucky roll, you're really not going to the eastern board that fast. You're most likely going to have to either use an orb to get there, or you're going to have to roll, and that's one of the things that the board really hides. But when you play it enough, it really reveals how linear it is. It's a very linear board, not super linear. You can still go from place to place. And I think the sheer ability to keep looping endlessly around a cloud also offers you an element of mixing that up. You can definitely delay your travel to somewhere else and definitely kind of keep segmented, but in the end, very linear. You really are rolling to get around. You're not really choosing pathways here. And then finally, we've got our activity. It's relatively orderly. There's not much going on that can really shake this board up. There's nothing that goes on that really like ruins people's days, that really like in general makes everybody kind of feel a panic because the board has screwed them over. Not really. It's quite tame. The happening space on the rain cloud and the western cloud, it definitely will make those people on those 3 spaces feel a little bit of regret. But overall, that's the only big harm in this board, and the rest of it's just moving. I mean, the gondola rides are kind of chaotic, but you're still going to one of 4 clouds, and it's still guaranteed space on said cloud. So, not too crazy. Pretty cool. Which means we can move on to the next category, which is orb and item play. And honestly, I think this is which really shines. I think the orb play on this board is pretty decent. I like how the Koopa Bank orb actually plays on this board a lot, because if you put more than one on one of the clouds, people really can't go from bridge to bridge because they lose revenue staying on the cloud. So it prevents people from staying on clouds, and it really limits your options and really makes it a fiscal burden to be on a cloud. And that's cool. I think that's a really interesting feature. I don't think it's as, it really forces you to make decisions, and I think that's one of the really cool parts. Like if you get enough Koopa Bank orbs, I think this board really shines on. So I think that's one of the cooler things. Of course, like bomb orbs are nice on here as well. Another fun one is poison mushroom orbs. You can strategically place them near gondolas to really give people either luck or unluck. What if they land on the gondola? But they can also deny the ride. So, it's fun. I think honestly the synergy's good. It's not necessarily irrelevant, but it's not necessarily like off the wall bonkers. It's good. So then moving on. Currency generation. I did both of these in one take because it's pretty run of the mill. Your currency generation for stars is generally average. It's an average Mario Party map, according to that. The only thing that can speed or slow down your generation of stars is the location in which they spawn, and they can spawn on the exact opposite side of the board, and it's a long haul, or they can spawn on the same exact cloud that you're already on, and then you literally just roll one more dice block and you're there. So that's why I think the star generation is in that middle area, because all the negatives and positives are literally on the same probability counter, so it just doesn't matter. It balances out. Same with coins. I think the coin generation's pretty average. There's only there's two ways that you can get coins that are extraneous, that are part of the board, and that's from the very top happening space and from the happening space where you do the ground pound to get the coins from the snowman. And on both of those spaces, that's 2 out of 69. You can definitely manage your rolls and your dice blocks to make sure that you can land on those spaces. But as far as it goes, those are just average extraneous coin generators. They don't really stand out as like super huge sources of income, but they also don't stand out as menial sources of income. So it's in the middle, and honestly, that's a good place for a board to be. And finally, we're going to talk about that skill to luck balance. Honestly, Rainbow Dream, a little bit lucky, and for reasons I mentioned in the currency generation. It's a very linear board, and as a linear board, it suffers because you can be anywhere on the board at any time because of the gondola rides, and just because of general, rolls. So star location is everything, because you can get 3 stars real quick if it's on the thundercloud on the bottom left side, it's on the thundercloud on the top right side, now it's on the rain cloud. You just got there in 3 rolls. You had a mushroom warp. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You get those 3 stars quick. So stars, they're important, and there's not many dual spaces on here. As a matter of fact, there is no dual spaces. There's 1 DK space, and sometimes it spawns right next to the start, and if it does, expect to hit it a lot. Expect to hit that space a lot. But as far as this board goes, it's a little bit lucky. Just because of the nature of how linear it is, and how the way to get from cloud to cloud is either linear or random, or 1 happening space that gives you the choice to choose. But that's it. So definitely does have an element of luck that pervades. It's not too lucky, but as far as Mario Party goes, I feel like it's just a little bit luckier than an average board, and I don't expect to see many boards fall heavily into the skill thing. I don't think anything's going to go super far into the skill division, but as far as this board goes, it's a little bit luckier than other boards. Doesn't mean it's bad, and doesn't mean that it's uncompetitive, but it definitely does indicate that as far as this board goes, the design to make a linear board have random ways to get from section to section, and then ways to maintain being in said section, it does hinge a lot on where the stars appear. So it does count on luck, but in the end, that's where we're at. So I hope this was very informative. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, or ways to improve, let me know. But in general, I think this is a pretty good first start. If you want to see any boards in particular, let me know. Pagoda Peak will be coming up next, because I think it's a linear board that does the job a little bit better in most ways. Some ways not so much, but in general, it does do its job a little bit better as a linear board, and for reasons that we will find out why in the next installment of my board analysis. So my Twitter handle is at STL_Ziga. My Twitch is at STL_Ziga, so just twitch.tv/STL_Ziga. And this is my regular channel, so you're watching some sweet Mario Party board analysis. I hope you can do subscribes and likes or whatever. I don't care though. I'm trying to put this out here, so we're there. First episode's over. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully they'll be better in the future. We'll see. Bye-bye.